right. Look at this. We are live. Transportation Tuesday. Finally live. Wow. So we got how many people in the building? Okay, 39 people on the first live. Who do we have in the building? Some boy says hi. So where's everybody from? I see we got Asheville in the house. Fort Lauderdale. Oh, NJV. Where the ladies at? I don't know. I heard Florida had the best looking ladies. You should move to Florida. No, Florida's a little too hot. Close to 100K? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Closing in on it. Just a few more to go. New interstates in Oklahoma? Okay. Might have to do some research on that. New York City in the house. New York, New York. Plano, Texas. Well, we got some Texas news today. Dallas, Kentucky, Texas, Arizona, Tulsa. Okay. I guess the sound is working. Tarboro, North Carolina. So you're going to need some mods. Yeah, we'll probably get some eventually. It's the first one, so we got a little bit of learning here. Okay. Intersection controller. Never heard of that. Minnesota. 100K special. We will do something for the 100K. 635 in Dallas. Oh, yeah. It'll be done one day. Okay, the Creek Turnpike is going to be I-644. Is it Muskogee? Is it Muskogee or Muskogee? Muskogee. Oh, yeah, of course. Hit the like. New Miami Bridge, man, there's a lot of projects. There's a lot of stuff going on. Montana. Ooh, I didn't really know we had a Montana audience out here. Okay. Guys, welcome to Transportation Tuesday. This is the live stream version. First time we're doing it live. I think we're going to go forward with it as a live stream. All right, so we got a lot of stories because we've been gone for a couple weeks. And yeah, and I am live here in Denver, Colorado. Okay. Now that we've got 54 in the building, I think we can go ahead and get started with the first story we have today. Let me see. Now, I know you guys saw the thumbnail, so you're looking for Texas, but we're going to get to Texas, but we got to start out in North Carolina because North Carolina has some new toll roads coming, and I know you all just love the tolls. So let's go on over to North Carolina and see what's going on. Oh, and adjust the camera. Okay, there we go. There we go. Did we get snow in Denver? Yeah, it was snowing last week. It already melted already though. Okay, first, Interstate 77 in Charlotte. Now you guys already know that Interstate 77 North in the northern part of Charlotte already has tolls on it. But now they're talking about the part of Interstate 77 in South Charlotte, which is the biggest bottleneck in North Carolina and the busiest section of highway in North Carolina. So let's see what's going on here.
Lisa, well, a road project nearly 2 decades in the making with the goal of improving 11 miles of Interstate 77. It would go from the South Carolina state line to the Brookshire Freeway here in uptown Charlotte.
WBTV's Dalford Jones joins us live with more on the massive undertaking that should relieve congestion on one of the area's busiest highways. Dalford.
Well, Siobhan, we're just north of Uptown, where the express lanes right behind us have proven their worth, if you will, throughout the afternoon and early evening. The plan now, as you said, to add them along the corridor of I-77 between the South Carolina state line and Uptown, a drive that can range anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour, depending on the time of day. Interstate 77 can be a headache when traffic is bumper to bumper.
It's pretty gnarly. Nothing moves at all, especially around exit 9.
It's really bad. I think it's horrible.
But there's a mission to relieve congestion on Charlotte's busiest corridor.
NCDOT's goal is to deliver the best possible version of this project, one that improves safety and mobility, meets Charlotte's growing needs, and minimizes negative impacts to communities and the environment.
So what's the plan to move 160,000 vehicles a day more smoothly? Well, for around $3.2 billion, improvements include the addition of express lanes, reconstruction of interchanges and non-interchange bridges, and the addition of access points and direct connectors to the express lanes. With a project this size, many are interested in its impact to private property.
Now, before we continue with the video, you guys know I like to show you the map of what we're dealing with here. So let's go on over to North Carolina, to Charlotte. Okay, it's 4 o'clock here, so it's 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Let's see what the traffic is looking like. Yep, just as you expect. So the section we're talking about is right here from this little 77 thing right here down to the South Carolina state line. And guys, this is the nightmare commute if you are in Charlotte. I actually used to have a job down in, my first engineering job was down in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And even with that reverse commute going back into Charlotte from Fort Mill, it took almost an hour just to go like 20 miles, 15, 20 miles. So this project has been talked about by the NCDOT for over 20 years. The cost and the scale and the scope of it has always stopped them from doing it, but it looks like it's finally going to happen. And with the growth in Charlotte, it's absolutely necessary. So let's see what else they got to say about the project in the video.
It's important to note that no final design or property impacts have been determined. The concepts shown at this stage are preliminary and will continue to evolve.
NCDOT says there's a lot of work ahead and they're going above and beyond the required community engagement.
We know this project is complex and it's important to us that locals were engaged early on and often in this process. Since January, our project team has met with over 800 residents in over 25 community group meetings so we can understand what matters most to their neighborhoods.
And for those of you who want to avoid the traffic now and once or if construction begins, Freya Patel has an alternative route.
I try to avoid 77, Charlotte traffic just in general. I try to avoid, so I take the light rail to work every day.
Now, for those of you who are interested in this project, there will be a series of meetings to further inform the public and take your questions. Now, Wednesday's meet will be held at the Innovation Center over on the campus of Johnson C. Smith University. And on Thursday, that meeting will take place at Silvermount Baptist Church on Arrowwood. Tonight, we're live in Charlotte. Dalford Jones.
All right, I do want to say when I first moved to Charlotte in 2009, they were already talking about this project, and back then it was estimated to cost $1 billion. So here we are 15 years later, and the project has more than tripled in cost. Now, there isn't a final design, but I can already tell you what it's most likely going to be. So between the South Carolina state line and downtown Charlotte, you only have 6 lanes of I-77, which carries more traffic than any other interstate section in North Carolina. And it's all squeezed into 6 lanes. So what they're probably going to do is add 2 express lanes on each side, probably those interior lanes. So there will be some right-of-way acquisition along this road. I did see Axios come up with a story to say this was an attack on the black neighborhoods in Charlotte, which was more rage bait than reality. But this project is most likely going to happen, so get ready for that, Charlotte. It's going to be a 5-lane Interstate 77 from South Carolina to downtown Charlotte. 2 express lanes. I know some people wanted them to be free lanes, but that's not the way things go these days. Everybody is building express lanes, so that's the rule of the land. Now, our next story is in Toronto. So let's go to Toronto, where Doug Ford, we got Virginia first. Pardon me. More express lanes in Virginia. Let's take a look at the Capitol Beltway in D.C.
To the Capitol Beltway in more than a decade, and it's happening this weekend. 2 new express toll lanes in each direction are set to open early Saturday in the McLean area. News 4 transportation reporter Adam Tuss has everything you need to know about the lane shift.
No sound?
Yeah, our long Beltway nightmare is of the express lanes. It has been years of
Testing. Can you guys hear it? Let's see. Okay, it's working now? Okay. All right. You got to go in and out to fix the audio? Okay, let's go.
construction here, basically from the Dulles Toll Road past Georgetown Pike and up to the American Legion Bridge. But this weekend, these new lanes open up.
On your mark, get set, go!
Let's take you back to March 2022. Groundbreaking for these new express toll lanes.
I spent many a day sitting right there in traffic, trying to get somewhere.
But today, years later,
the governor sits in
the
traffic.
finishing touches being put on the lanes, which will open overnight into the early morning this Saturday.
Yeah, new traffic patterns just urge drivers to travel safely as traffic patterns change throughout this corridor.
Now remember, the price of the trip in the lanes rises and falls based on the level of congestion, so the tolls will vary day by day.
All right, so you guys kind of know what express lanes are. You've been watching this channel for a while, but let's show you where these are happening. Mountain High 420. I have a good idea where you live. All right. So this is the DC area, the Virginia side. And let's see what it's looking like right now. Yep. So McLean is over here, right before you cross into Maryland, at that American Legion Bridge. And they got conveniently, it's no surprise, it's red right now. And this is the area where the express lanes just recently opened. So if you got the money, then you can bypass the traffic, at least in the McLean area, which is this stretch right here. Solid red. I think we need to do a video on DC traffic also. I want to talk about DC traffic pretty soon. Let's get back to the video.
In return, you're promised it.
Whoa, hold on. Let's look at these prices. Whoa. You guys see that? Is this what you're paying in DC for express lanes? Oof. $27? $19 for one trip? Wow. There is a lot of money in DC, but wow. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about DC pretty soon. $27 tolls. Jeez.
Day by day. In return, you're promised a trip of at least 50 miles per hour, even during rush hours. But Jacqueline Woodbridge with Transurban, the operator of the lanes, has tips to get a free ride.
HOV3 still free, motorcycle still free, transit also still free.
Yes, a new Fairfax connector bus, Tyson's and Bethesda. zoom past traffic, but there are still some concerns about these new lanes.
What do we say to the people that say, look, the bottleneck's just going to move to the American Legion Bridge?
I think there's 2.5 miles of better travel, faster, more reliable travel times through this corridor. That's really what we're focused on at this point.
You're being told...
Actually, that's a good point. So when you get situations... I got somebody calling me. These situations where you got more... but one area doesn't have it, you do just kind of push the bottleneck. So the American Legion Bridge is right here dividing Virginia and Maryland. And if you're backed up, if the express lanes are only right here, you are going to just move the bottleneck over to Maryland for now. You really need to get Maryland on board to build their side as well for these to really be effective. Otherwise, yeah, you're just paying to bypass this section, but then you're going to sit in traffic as soon as you cross the state line. So that is a good point for now.
Specifically to pay attention to the new interchanges at the Dulles Toll Road and the GW Parkway. The express toll lanes, which cost $660 million to build, they're here along the Beltway. Adam Tuss.
All right, and $660 million to build with those prices, guys. They are making sure they get their money back. So, oh man, DC. Yeah, I think I'm gonna add DC to the list of videos that we got to work on. All right. So what do we got next? I-343 in Oklahoma? You sure that's 343? I don't think there's a... I-43 is pretty far from Oklahoma. All right. Now we're going up to our neighbors to the north in Canada. Because you guys already know, Mr. Doug Ford is the unofficial king of Ontario. He does whatever he wants. So let's see what Doug Ford is doing now in Toronto.
Premier Doug Ford's ban on speed cameras is now in effect. He calls them a cash grab, claiming they don't speeding drivers. Otherwise, CBC's Angie Seth is on this story for us. She joins us now live from Toronto, from near one of those speed cameras. So Angie, thank you for joining us here. You are on a street right now that has been the source of much of the controversy surrounding this issue. So what is happening there today? What have you been seeing? And why are speed cameras there just so controversial?
So Parkside Drive is where we are right now, Hillary. Good to see you as well. Well, there you go. A little bit of honking as we've sort of been hearing over the course of the morning, really, every time we sort of get in front of the camera. And not sure is that honk in favor of what's going on here or not in favor. There's been a lot of that back and forth. But I want to show you, just step out of the way and show you the speed camera that we're talking about here. This speed camera here, and of course you can see the tower as well. This speed camera alone, it is one of the city's busiest cameras. It has been removed 7 times now. The difference now is this legislation that's come in by the Ford government. These cameras will now no longer be active as of today. That ban that was put, that legislation that was put in place banning speed cameras is the Ford government and Premier Ford saying that this is just basically a cash grab by the municipalities to bring revenues in. But this area...
That's a good question. What do you guys think? Do you guys think speed cameras really stop people from speeding, or is it more about making money? I know there are a lot of places that did remove them or ban them because they felt like it was just about making money. So that Doug Ford, he might have a point on that, depending on how they're implemented. Now, when I was in Toronto, I didn't get any speeding tickets. I mean, the traffic was moving too slow to speed for what I saw. But you guys in Canada, let me know. Are they a cash grab, or do you think they really help slow down drivers?
Here, very controversial, is back in 2021, there was a fatal accident involving 2 pedestrians and a speeding car, obviously going over the speed limit. 2 individuals died. The city then decided to, as part of their traffic measures, to enforce speed cameras, and municipalities came on board right across the province, 37 municipalities, if you will, having speed cameras within their regions, within their areas there. So this being a very busy road, as you can see, it is a major artery. It is a thoroughway towards Lakeshore, which is a busy area as well, that leads in and out of the city, as well as access to paid as of today.
let's look at the facts here. They got the
Cost has
numbers
been.
for us.
Parkside Drive speed camera here alone issued 70,000 tickets this year. That's around $80 million in revenue. And the premier is saying there's got to be other alternatives. When we look at the overall amount of money that's been coming in.
Look at that. Toronto has made $8 million off the fines. Looking like it might be a cash grab. $8 million added to the budget. Well, she said 80, but the graphic says 8.
From speed cameras, $40 million in fines in 2024, over $45 million so far this year. That, of course, those fines, of course, won't be paid as of today with that ban being put into effect. But the government's saying there's other measures we can do. $210 million, the finance minister announced, will go towards municipalities to implement traffic calming measures. In addition, Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sakara put forward a statement saying that new road safety initiatives, this is a fund now, to the amount of $42 million will be provided for cities to put measures in like speed bumps, raised crosswalks, roundabouts, for example, new signage, as well as increased police enforcement. Spencer's showing you that.
You know what? I'm kind of with Doug Ford on this. I'm with traffic calming measures, the speed bumps, the roundabouts, and things like that, rather than the speed cameras, because it does seem like they are just a cash grab. But there's a second video about this. Let's see what this channel had to say.
Were turned off at midnight overnight. They are no longer operational. We do know that they generated a lot of revenue for municipalities, revenue that was used for road safety initiatives. So at least Toronto is asking the province to make up for that. So yesterday at City Council, they voted in favor of a motion to ask the province for reimbursement of funds that will be lost due to turning off speed cameras. Now, we know that in Toronto, Mayor Chow said that 900 crossing guards as well as 18 traffic safety police officers, that's more than $35 million. The funds came from speed cameras. So those jobs, as you mentioned, are now in jeopardy. In total, Toronto will lose $210 million because speed cameras have been turned off. Now, the province says that a new road safety in.
Yep, I think we have our answer. Toronto is set to lose $210 million without the speed cameras. So it's a revenue source. It's not really a speeding thing. So looks like Doug Ford is correct. All right, so what is our next story? Oh, Utah is slowly but surely building a new fully controlled access highway in the Salt Lake City area. Now let's go have a look-see here at the Beehive State to Barngerter Highway. Some of you might be familiar with it. Oh, what happened? Is it gonna play?
A new project underway on Barngerter Highway will eventually cut about 8 minutes from the average commute time. That sounds like good news, right? News specialist Jody Reynosa joins us live in South Jordan with the details. Jody, this area right now can really get backed up. How does it look on this Friday night?
Well, let me show you. So right here, I'm on the pedestrian bridge, the new bridge, and overlooking Barngerter Highway. Let's take a look. So, you know, it's that time of day. It's rush hour, but really flowing smoothly here. And, you know, it was earlier in the day that I was here and traffic was still running the same way. Very smooth. And UDOT says in large part because of eliminating stoplights in key areas. Take a look at this graph. Had been eliminated from I-15 in Draper to 41st South in West Valley. So no more stoplights on 47th South, 98th South, 134 South, and 27th West.
All right, so first off, let me explain to you guys what you're seeing here. So in Utah, they have this strange street numbering thing. So you see things like 47 South, 98 South. It's basically a grid, but instead of it just being like 47th Street or 50th Street or 98th Street, they use this 4700, 9800, and it starts south. That's how they number their streets. I mean, that could be a whole video in itself explaining their street numbering thing. And you look at the map, head on out west to Utah. Look at that. Utah's 5 o'clock and it's only yellow. 4:30. Oh, it's 4:30. But you see in Utah, Interstate 15 is the main north-south highway in Salt Lake City. Then you got 215. They call it the Belt Route. And then this is the highway in question, Highway 154 or Barngerter. And right now it's kind of, some parts of it are like a freeway. Then some other parts are still traffic lights. But eventually Utah DOT wants this entire road to be a freeway all the way up here to the airport. And then you got this other outer mountain highway right here that's also going to be in the future a freeway that runs all the way along the western side of the valley to connect down here to some of these new suburban towns like Eagle Mountain. But this is what we're talking about right here, Barngerter. Barngerter is becoming a freeway. All right, let's get back to the video.
All at a price tag of $415.3 million. But UDOT's Region 2 director believes the price is worth increased safety, especially for local students walking to and from nearby schools.
UDOT and their contracting partners actually prioritized getting that bridge in place first so that we could get the students across the construction site and the road safely and first.
Students from Elk Meadows Elementary and Elk Ridge Middle Schools front and center in this celebration, cheering as UDOT lifted the last orange cones from this section of Barngerter Highway, signifying the completion of this phase. Students learned about construction, city planning, and enjoyed these hands-on activities. But the work isn't...
Look at that. Utah's out there creating some future engineers.
Finished yet. UDOT has its sights set on the next phase.
We're not done. We got to go from 4100 South now all the way to California Avenue. And we've got funding identified from 4100 South to Parkway Boulevard. And we hope to get that launched soon.
Stewart says they've identified funding for that next phase, and they're hoping to start work in spring or summer of 2027. In the meantime, you can enjoy about a 17-mile stretch of Barngerter Highway without any stoplights. Reporting live in South Jordan, Jody Reynoso.
All right, it's good to see Utah getting ahead of the curve. And if you guys look at Utah and the Wasatch Front, you can see it's a very north-south oriented area. Provo, Salt Lake City, and Ogden, all along this north-south corridor. So it's pretty smart to beef up your north-south mobility and getting ahead of the curve while all these, because you got some states where they just wait until all the people move in and they start trying to build after the fact. Places like Austin, Texas. But Utah's getting ahead of the curve. They are getting it done early. Good job, Utah. All right, now what you guys been waiting for, we get on over to Texas. Texas will not be outdone by states like North Carolina. Oh no, we got North Carolina first. Excuse me. I have my order messed up again. So a lot of you guys were sending me this story right here about Fayetteville, North Carolina, one of the most interstate happy states in the country, has now opened yet another loop highway around one of its cities, Fayetteville. Let's take a look.
Is now open just days before Thanksgiving.
The I-295 Fayetteville Outer Loop is designed to make traffic move easier around Fayetteville and Fort Bragg. CBS 70's Justin Moore takes us for a ride.
The sound of rubber meeting the road on a new highway.
I'm super excited.
2, 1.
NCDOT cut the ribbon for the 39-mile-long I-295 Fayetteville Outer Loop. This after contractors finished the final 5-mile stretch between Hope Mills and Fayetteville earlier than planned.
Personally, I've been working on this my entire career.
Engineer Jason Salisbury with NCDOT helped design this $1.4 billion highway project that stretches into Robeson County. Portions of I-295 opened in 2003, but nearly 30 years after the initial construction, the entire roadway is good to go.
It's really going to open up the south
eastern and western side of Fayetteville.
I-295 Fayetteville Outer Loop cuts down the drive time from Fort Bragg to Hope Mills to I-95. Before now, people were using side streets as shortcuts, creating rush hour traffic issues.
And there's stoplights and traffic and congestion and all that kind of stuff that goes along with schools and school buses and all that goes on. And now we have an interstate highway that opens everything up, that takes what was maybe a 25-minute ride and turn it into a 5-minute ride.
The Outer Loop already has proven to be a vital part of this growing and dynamic region.
NCDOT expects the Fayetteville Outer Loop to not only improve traffic, but also decrease the number of car crashes in Fayetteville.
I don't know about that, because a lot of the car crashes in Fayetteville are probably from those young soldiers coming out of Fort Bragg. You know, when you're 20, 21, 22, you drive pretty reckless. But here we go, Fayetteville, right here. Home of Fort Bragg. So I-295 runs a western loop from 95 and circles back to 95 over here. So it's gonna, like you were saying, there was no highway out here before, so you can expect a lot of development to start coming to this southwestern side of Fayetteville, thanks to the highway being open. And I'm actually headed back to North Carolina for Christmas, so I'm definitely gonna drive this highway and film it for the other channel for you guys who watch that. Let's see what you guys are saying here. I-229 Missouri. Yeah, I think they're getting rid of 229. It costs more to maintain it than it's worth, so they're getting rid of that one. You're from Utah and moved to Nevada. Northern Nevada? Reno's congested. When I was in Reno, the traffic, I mean, they had a little bit of traffic on 580 at rush hour, but outside of that, Reno. But yeah, North Carolina has opened a new interstate. Texas, what are you gonna do about it? You got to keep up. And here we go. Here's the Texas story, because Texas will be keeping up. US 287 in Texas is understudy by Texas DOT and is planned to become an actual interstate highway. Now, some of you guys remember on the Interstate 27 video, we were talking about how some portions of 287 north of Amarillo might be a part of Interstate 27. Well, now Texas is saying the rest of 287 through the state might be some entirely new interstate. So Texas is not playing when it comes to their interstate highway infrastructure. Let's take a look.
Also new today, there is a new push to create a new interstate here in Texas. Courtney Carpenter joining us from our newsroom and following this story. Hey, Courtney, so apparently if this is approved, it would connect East Texas and the Panhandle.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning to you, Rita. We all know how road construction goes, right? It's expensive and it usually takes a while. But TxDOT says this upgrade to Highway 287 would make our roads safer, would reduce the number of cars on roads like I-10 and I-45, and would create lots of jobs. State Highway 287 runs from Port Arthur up to Amarillo.
Okay, so here's the map. So you guys, us over here, we know the correct terminology. She called it State Highway 287. No, my dear, this is US Highway 27. This is not a state highway. But here's the map, guys. You see 287 runs out of here all the way out of, I think it's Port Arthur. Yeah, let's see. Let's see the Google map. Yeah, 287 runs down here to Beaumont and Port Arthur. The PAT, Bun B and Pimp C, just east of Houston, and runs up to the DFW. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Ooh, it is 5:30 in Dallas. But it runs up through the DFW to Wichita Falls and then to Amarillo. As you can kind of see with their map, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but this is the general area of US 287.
671 miles long. TxDOT is looking into the idea of making the whole stretch of road into a full-blown interstate, which they say would cost more than $24 billion. So why are they considering this? They say currently no interstate connects these areas, and that 287 as an interstate would improve travel time and encourage economic opportunity.
Well, at $27 billion, let's go ahead and say that this is another interstate that all of us here will probably never see. Though they might get some portions built out, but we definitely won't see this a full interstate in our lifetime.
Opportunity, specifically saying that by 2050, the upgrade would bring about 46,000 more jobs to Texas. Well, of course, there are big challenges with this idea, too. One of them being they'd need approval from Congress to do this. And also right now, many of the bridges and overpasses on Highway 287 would have to be replaced to comply with interstate standards. If this plan ever comes to fruition, TxDOT says construction would take about 10 years with an estimated completion date in 2050. Reporting live.
It would take 10 years if you had all the funding. So guys, 287 north of DFW, a lot of it is already, actually I think the entire thing, once you get past DFW, is already 4 lanes. I drove this from Dallas to Denver last year, and man, that is a painful drive. But I did drive that whole thing, 287, and it is 4 lane, I believe all the way at least to Amarillo. But there are some portions where it's where you still have the great intersections. Now, when you get past DFW, things you got some more work to do, because you got a lot of parts out here through East Texas that aren't even 4-lane highway yet. So that's where most of the work will be. And then you got to remember too that Texas is still trying to build Interstate 69, as well as Interstate 14. So and Interstate 27. Texas has all these projects going on. Now, Texas does have a lot of money, but I don't think they have that kind of money. You're talking probably over $100 billion to build all of these interstates in Texas. But hey, I like the forward thinking and the optimism. But 2050, I don't think we're going to see Texas spend $24 billion by 2050. But we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, what would the number be? That's a good question too. What do you guys think the number would be for this interstate? Because 287 is signed as a north-south route, but it kind of moves in that kind of northwest to southeast direction, diagonally across the state. So this could be an east-west interstate highway. It could be either one. It can't be 43 is already in Wisconsin. 41's already taken. I think 39 is taken also. Interstate 36. Yeah, it could be 36. All right, last story. Texas isn't all about highways. Texas has a multimodal approach to their transportation issues. So there's a 2050 transit plan coming from Texas DOT as well. So 2050 is the year where Texas is planning to have a lot of these things built out already. So let's take a look at Texas DOT's transit plans for 2050.
A new TxDOT report says Texas needs more transit options than cars to better serve everybody in the state.
The report says the state needs to modernize and make some changes, and everything can't be a highway.
UGK.
Fox 4's Amelia Jones has more on this report. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, TxDOT calls it a Texas plan, not a TxDOT plan. The plan calls for more transportation options to connect the state to keep up with population growth. The forward-thinking initiative comes at a time of uncertainty as several North Texas cities have already started the process to withdraw from DART. The Texas Department of Transportation is looking at how to connect Texans beyond massive highways. The agency's Texas Statewide Multimodal Transit Plan 2050 calls for expanded and modernized transit systems throughout the state. TxDOT is laying out the framework now to prepare for the state's population to grow 40% by 2050.
Well, if I had to describe this transit plan, the statewide plan, in one word, it would be transformative.
Peter Lakoti is the president of the Texas Rail Advocates, a nonprofit group that supports the development of both freight and passenger rails in Texas. He says now is the time to plan for the future and look at a long-term solution to public transit in Texas.
We spend more money on highways than any other state in the union. But as the highways become more expensive to build and also to maintain, what are we going to do in the future? You know, it's time to really look for a new strategy, and we've got to keep Texas moving.
The plan comes at a time of uncertainty for public transit in North Texas. Plano, Irving, Highland Park, and Farmers Branch approved a special election in May to give voters the choice to continue DART services. Lakoti has been following the updates. He says different transit options for each city might not be the better solution.
Where you have a one-seat ride now from Plano to the airport or from Plano down to downtown Dallas, if you've got to change somewhere in between, you're going to lose probably 30 to 50% of your ridership. So I think that's something they need to look very closely at before.
Now, he is correct on that. When you have, anytime it comes to using transit and you got to switch, or it's just inconvenient as far as switching here and switching there or switching modes, a lot of people are just going to say, I'd rather use my car. So you really got to think about how you design these things. And also, let's see if it's showing up on the map on Google yet, because they did open the new transit line. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay. So it is open from Plano to the airport, like he said, which is a huge deal. Because Plano, I believe Plano is the second, or it might be third. No, it's not bigger than Arlington. I think it's the fourth largest city in the DFW. Gigantic suburb up here. So this is pretty cool that it directly connects to the airport now. But they got some ways to go, because you see right now it still doesn't get past Plano up into Allen and McKinney. And I did read about some of these cities wanted to pull out of DART, which would be a disastrous idea. So let's.
Or they make a decision.
TxDOT's plan calls for a statewide route and hub network to connect rural and urban areas. The state agency also wants to identify governance gaps in routes between DFW, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, better known as the Texas Triangle.
There's a lot of people involved in transportation planning. And so there's a lot we got to do, a lot of discussions we need to have. And that's why this plan is important, right? Because we need to have that plan in place to look to the future and give us those kind of, okay, where do we need to focus on and what kind of gaps are there? What can we do?
TxDOT is also asking for the public's input. You can submit your comments on this draft plan at TxDOT's website under the Transit Plan tab. You can submit comments until November 20th. Then the plan will move to TxDOT's commission for approval.
All right, my Texans out there, if you want the transit, let your voice be heard. She did say they are asking for opinions from the locals. So if you actually want this statewide transit, let the government know. Now is your chance. And this is good, actually. A lot of times when you try to leave transit up to individual cities, you end up with this broken system, kind of like you see in Atlanta with MARTA, where you can't get MARTA outside of Fulton County because it's a city level thing and every municipality has to approve it. So if you do it on the state level like Texas is trying to do, that's one good way to push it through. All right. Let's see. Actually, you guys see, there we go, right there. Okay. All right. That is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories today. Ooh. How you guys like the first live stream? It's going to be the first of many. Transportation Tuesday. Okay, what we got going on in the comments before we get out of here for today. Interstate 33. Yeah, there's no Interstate 33. Make it a spur for 44. It's going to be definitely too long to be a spur, though. UGK. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big pimping down in PAT. High-speed rail. Yeah, they are working on high-speed rail. They're trying to get the high-speed rail between DFW and Houston. I-52. Only problem with I-52 is that it's further south than I-40, so you probably want something in the 30s if you do it east-west. Texas on Google Earth. I-74 coming through Charlotte. No, I don't think so. They are building up US 74 between Rockingham and Charlotte, which I can't wait until they finally build a bypass for that town, Wadesboro. Worst town to drive through in North Carolina. But if they do make that an interstate, it'll probably be like a spur of Interstate 74, because 74 is going from Greensboro to 74 is going from Greensboro probably to Wilmington. It says Myrtle Beach, but you know North Carolina's not going to build a interstate to Myrtle Beach when they can build it to Wilmington instead. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Texas and North Carolina are definitely the most gung-ho states when it comes to new interstate highways. Carrying the torch for the rest of the country. 885? No, there's already 885 in Durham. So that number can't be used. Hello from Magnolia, Arkansas. Oh, okay. I've not been to Magnolia yet. 877. Possibly. Yeah, I think Texas doing it on the state level is definitely a good idea. St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada. Okay, Ontario. Doug Ford territory. US 220 in North Carolina. Yeah, that's US 220 mostly has been replaced by Interstate 73. A subway to the airport is all. Yeah, when it comes to building transit, probably one of the first places to build a transit is between downtown and an airport. That's the way to, because you get the tourists to use it, you get visitors to use it. It's like the easiest way to get a transit system started. It's kind of surprising that Charlotte hasn't built that one yet to the airport. That's the easiest place to get routers. We got Baltimore, Maryland in the house. Baltimore. Baltimore has that distinct accent. Baltimore. Central Avenue in Albuquerque. I actually have a State of Infrastructure Albuquerque video probably going to come out in a few weeks. Did some filming while I was down there, so I'll be talking all about Albuquerque here a few weeks from now. 274 Rockingham to Charlotte. Yeah, they could do that. Joseph, Missouri. St. Joseph, Missouri. Okay. That's the place with 229. I've been there. In the DMV. All right, guys. Thanks for coming to the first live stream. We try to do one of these every Tuesday. Appreciate everybody who came in, dropped a comment, and liked the video. If you got any other stories, send me an email. Let me know what you think about these stories down in the comments. What time do we got here? It's almost 5 o'clock. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you